Background noise? No, anything?
Yeah, your sound is good, Alex. Welcome to the show. So, we are literally recording like 12 hours before this releases, and Alex is on vacation, so excuse us if there's some audio mishaps for this one, but we're trying to get this out. How's it going, Alex?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, on vacation here, so it's like F past midnight here, so recording a tad bit late. Really messed up our schedule here, but vacation's called, so trying to do my best, and we will adjust as things go.
Let's see.
We'll
That's
make
how
things on the
dedicated
fly, and
Alex
that
is.
works.
Alex went on vacation, and he still was like, "Hey, I want to get this episode." And hey, that is dedication you cannot buy, my friends.
Just grinding, my man, just grinding.
Just grinding. Just exactly, man. Just grinding. So let's start off with some of the news because we're gonna be late on this, but that's okay. Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets. Zeke signed with the Patriots. I think I want to talk about Zeke first. So what do you think Zeke signing with the Patriots A does to their offense, and B has any implications on Ramondre Stevenson? Like, if you were hesitant on Ramondre before, this isn't going to change. But if you were bullish on Ramondre, would this change for you, Zeke signing there?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that they would always get a running back. They have basically no one with actual NFL experience behind Ramondre before they got Zeke. So I always thought a running back was likely to them. We talked about Zeke to the Patriots in previous episodes. That was my idea where he would land. I mean, I think it hurts Ramondre somewhat. I think not directly to his passing work because it's not that Zeke will get more receptions than Ramondre, but it's that Zeke will slot in more in the pass protection role, which will take those third down snaps away from Ramondre. Another thing, it's also the goal line work, which I don't believe Ramondre got a whole lot last year. Damian Harris always seemed like the type of back that would get those, like he's scheduled to get between him and Latavius right now in Buffalo. So yeah, I think it dings him somewhat. If you were bullish on Ramondre and you drafted him high, I mean, I feel for you. But it shouldn't impact him a whole lot. It's just that he likely won't have that top five running back ceiling that I heard a lot of folks talk about, that he would get like the lion's share of everything. I think it dings him somewhat, and his ceiling is much closer
Oh,
to a low end running back one, high end running back two, in my opinion. How
so
about you?
um, I'm going to say something controversial here. I never
Sure.
thought Ramondre Stevenson had RB1 potential. I
I
was
mean, he was
never.
being drafted as it.
I mean, he is being drafted as it, but
Yeah.
I guess I never viewed Ramondre in that light. Like, I understand from a fantasy perspective, because this is the fantasy show, you want running backs who are going to get receiving work and goal line touches. That's what you want. You want receptions and you want touchdowns. That's how you win as running back. And Ramondre did get some of those. Granted, Damian did take a lot of the touchdown touches, goal line touches last season, but there's just something, and maybe this is PTSD from the Patriots running back system while Tom Brady was there, but there's just something about Patriots back and RB1 I can't wrap my head around.
I mean, and it's also that I think people saw some of his splits from last year as a whole, and didn't take into account that Damian Harris did miss a few of the games where Ramondre left, where Ramondre went off. So I think they were more bullish than they should have been. Like those week 13 to 16 really changed a lot of people's mind with Ramondre. I mean, I thought he had a chance of being in the top six running back mix if there was absolutely no one coming in. But I also always thought they would get a veteran running back. And Zeke, although I don't think he has a whole lot of juice left, he's one of the better pass protection backs in the league. So yeah, I definitely think he will steal a lot of work that will make Ramondre not a top five running back upside guy, but more of a running back too that I mean, it's still valuable, of course, but
I
definitely
never
brings
thought
him.
he could be the RB1. Like I thought if they had to, if this is how like much PTSD I have for this, I believed, truly believed, if they had to get like a corpse and put him out there to steal touches from Ramonde, they would do that. I think Pierre Strong would have got touches if this signing never happened. There's no
Kevin
way.
Harris as well.
Yeah, there's no way. There is no scenario I would have seen where we enter week one talking about Ramondre Stevenson being the clear running back in this backfield as a bell cow. And there's no. They would be giving touches to those other guys. I think the signing is more of an indication that they don't believe as much in Pierre Strong and the people behind him, but I never viewed Ramondre as this secret league winner. No.
And would
That's a hot
anyone,
take, but no.
and I mean, it's the Patriots backfield. Would anyone even be surprised if like Kevin Harris or Pierre Strong is the starting running back in week like 5 or 6? I
No.
mean,
No.
it's
No.
like it's a Bill Belichick thing. So yeah, I definitely think it dings him somewhat. And if you were drafting him in like round two, round three, I think it went sideways for you there.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't
100%.
be drafting him right now at those slots. I don't think he has the upside right now that you're looking for in those slots. So
You want to win
yeah,
in fantasy
definitely.
football here. While Bill Belichick is still alive, do not draft a Patriots running back with a top 3 pick.
And
There you
I
go.
don't think, and I also don't think it necessarily makes Zeke a thing for this year. I think that the work you will get it will be valuable, but it won't be consistent enough to where you'll be a fantasy option regularly. So I also don't. I think it's a murky signing as well for Zeke, because if you were like a Zeke owner in Dynasty, you're probably hoping that he held on through
Those
the
people
free
still exist.
agency. Yeah, and maybe you were just hoping for a team that signed them after week one, after a big injury, and this is definitely not one of those scenarios. I definitely think it will require an injury to Ramondre for Zeke to be a viable fantasy option. So yeah, don't really think it helps any of those guys. In real life football, I think it definitely helps them, keeps them fresh. But for fantasy, I don't think it's a win for anyone. It's a lose-lose, in my opinion.
I agree. Speaking of lose, Dalvin Cook to the Jets. I think that was the bad signing for Dalvin Cook. I think the move was to Miami. The backfield was like wide open. Who are you competing with? You're competing with Jeff Wilson. Like there's no way Miami came close. I don't believe Miami came close, and that's why he signed with the Jets. Because
Yeah,
there is no way with Brees Hall there that you thought, yeah, I'm gonna be the dude here. I'm gonna get as many touches as it. No, it's not happening, Chief.
yeah. I mean, we talked about it before. I thought his desired landing spot was the Dolphins, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think he got a pretty strong deal. It's a 1 year, $8 million guaranteed base salary from what I read, and it's
Yeah,
up
it's a
to
strong deal.
8.6 mil. So I mean, for 1 year, I think that's a running back stream right now, and I don't believe Miami came anything close to that. It does impact Brees Hall though. What you think?
This is just the way I am. I every day, well not every day, since that news came out, I have contacted every Brees Hall owner that I can get my. I am still buying. I do not care. I
But
do
are you
not
buying
care.
in redraft or
Both,
dynasty?
both. I
Both.
don't care. I think by the end of this season, Brees Hall gets at least 60% of the snap shares compared to Dalvin Cook. I think Brees Hall is going to lap Dalvin Cook at this point.
I'm honestly a bit scared to be honest,
I'm not.
Because if you go back to the draft, for example, there were heavy rumors that with their first round pick, the Jets were actually looking at Jameer Gibbs. So it shows me that they maybe are not completely sold on Brees Hall for some reason. And I mean,
You mean you still there with me? Oh, there's.
is not that great, but I mean, they still got him in the second round, so maybe there's something wrong that we as
Oh, stop.
fans with. Did I cut off?
Yeah, you cut off. I'll just cut that part out, or I'll keep it in. I don't know. I got like 12 hours to do it, so and 8 of those I need to sleep. So we might just keep that in.
Okay, my
Regardless,
bad.
so why were you concerned
Uh,
with Brees Hall?
I mean, I'm still concerned because, as I said, they were looking heavily to Jameer Gibbs. That was reported a whole lot. That they were looking at him with the first round pick before the Lions snagged him. I mean, with all of the reports, they were talking with Zeke, they were talking with Dalvin Cook. I mean, it shows me that maybe it's just one of those things with now that you got your star quarterback and I mean, he doesn't have long in the NFL, I would believe, in Aaron Rodgers. It's maybe just one of those situations where you push all of your chips into the table. But I don't know, man. It really seems like Brees Hall isn't like that well loved in New York. Maybe they just don't want to get him all of these touches. Maybe it's just this 1 year thing where he is clearly not 100% yet, and they don't want to rush him back in. So I actually think Dalvin and Brees will be a 1A 1B situation, and I think it will be 1A for Cook to start the
This
season
starts.
and a 1B to end the season
Yes.
until Hall is back at 100%. But yeah, I'm definitely not buying for redraft. I don't think any of those players will have that running back one ceiling. And for Dynasty, I mean, I don't know if they aren't really that sold on Brees. Now you're looking at this year two. Next year, when it's fully healthy, it will be year three, and then it's contract year. So it's one of those tricky situations that you have to navigate it as a fantasy owner. I'm not entirely sure if I'm buying, because I still think some of the owners will have a high price on him, and I don't think
What's
it will entirely pay off.
what's your price? Because honestly, the
So,
deal I've been floating to everyone to start negotiations is Brees Hall for a first. I think if you can get Brees Hall
and
for a first, you won. You won, bro.
I mean, a random first,
Sure. Wherever I'm at. If I'm
and
rebuilding, I'll offer
even
it.
even a top
If I
five,
huh?
top five.
I'll offer it.
Hmm. And have you gotten any bites yet? Because right now, like on Keep Trace Cut, is still like running back four. So I mean, at those prices, it's definitely hard to acquire.
I
We
agree.
are looking at like
No,
an early
I have
first.
not, and that's why I'm more confident that Brees is ending this season as the top running back in this. I think Dalvin Cook by the end of the season is getting lapped. I'm telling you.
I mean, I think you'll get less touches in Brees Hall, assuming Brees heals up nicely. But I still don't think it's anything more than a 55-45 to either guy. I think they want to keep both guys fresh
That's fair.
for a potential playoff run. So yeah, and if Brees Hall doesn't produce like those high level of production that you're expecting of a running back of his caliber, do we think that this dynasty value holds on with another year on his legs?
Does it hold? Does his dynasty value hold on? No. Am I buying him? Absolutely.
No. Uh, so you're just not worried about like buying him at a certain price and then having a dip in the inset price. You're thinking he can bounce back and
Yeah.
at least
If I
get you
can
the
get
value
a
that you paid for
singular
him.
first, which I haven't been able to, by the way, if I can get a singular first for Brees Hall, I'm smashing accept. But I
Yeah,
can't right now.
what's your absolute best offer though?
What do you mean? My absolute best offer? A first and a second.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you'll get him though. I mean,
No, I haven't gotten him.
assuming assuming you're rebuilding, like a top five first, I could see some managers taking those.
But here's the
I'm
thing: if
not sure
if
I'd
I'm
give those though.
rebuilding, I already have Brees on their roster. Like,
Okay.
that's the thing.
And assuming you don't, would you give like a top three first and a second?
A top three, probably not.
Okay,
Would I give
so
just the
that's where
top
you're
three
drawing the
first?
line.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I see. And I could see some managers doing that, the top three first. Especially if it's guaranteed, if the roster is that bad, and it maybe is, even has a chance at being like the first pick. I could see a lot of managers doing it and just cutting their losses now that the situation is getting murkier.
Yep.
But yeah, for redraft, I'm definitely out on Brees. Maybe Dalvin can be a value because I think they're just looking at good old washed up Dalvin and just not wanting to draft because it's not a pick that you usually like to make, like drafting those older running backs that are now just on a different team and like
There's a
there's
lot
not a
of.
lot of appeal.
I think you give too much credit to a lot of people. Like if you're in, I'm in a $50 league, and Dalvin is viewed very highly. Let me just say that. Like
Is
Dalvin
it?
is coming off a monster season. Like uh, I don't know. I think that the greater fantasy community is more educated now than it was when we started 5 years ago. But I still think there's a lot of people out there who will look at a season that someone just had and not take into account their age, what a peak is, when does regression. They won't take that into account. They'll just say, okay, Dalvin Cook is coming off a 1,200-yard season. Screw that, he only had 4.4 yards a touch. He's coming off that season. So it really all just
Okay.
depends.
I knew that my mind is really more wired towards Dynasty. So
But that's fair.
sometimes, like the redrafts that we have, the redraft league that we have, it really opens up my eyes to, and I make a lot of mistakes in those leagues because I'm wired to Dynasty and I take shots at those young guys.
Yep. And I'm a top three
So
team consistently every year,
yeah,
baby.
yeah,
Baby.
I did make the finals last year though,
You did.
so improvements. Didn't win it, but
I also try
that's
crazy things. 4 quarterbacks to
usual
start
things to
was
me,
fun. 4 quarterbacks was fun.
and all of them busted.
Oh my God, yes. I think who did I draft? I drafted Aaron Rodgers, I know that. I drafted Patrick
Stafford,
Mahomes, Stafford, and Deshaun
and I
Watson.
think you drafted
Yep.
Deshaun. Yeah.
Terrible.
So 1 in 4 didn't bust.
Yes, and I still made the playoffs. I don't know how, but I still did.
Yeah, but I'm looking at Dalvin right now, and on Sleeper, his ADP right now is running back 25. And I can only imagine that's increasing right now.
Yeah.
It should be close to like running back 20, before the weekends, in my opinion. I mean, if you're looking at the top 20 back, does Dalvin Cook get that sort of return? Or are we looking at a situation where both Brees and Dalvin finish outside of the top 24 running backs? Because we also need to
I
factor
think
in
one of
Michael
them is
Carter,
finishing the top 24, my man.
even with Michael Carter still involved,
Is Michael Carter
or
still
are
going to
we?
be involved with Dalvin Cook there with Brees Hall?
I mean, I think the team likes him, and I believe he was a team captain last year. So I mean, I would think he is still involved somewhat. I think it's one of those players that their team really likes, and they will try to get him involved still. So if you're looking at I mean, of course, Carter will have a very minor share of that backfield, but if it's still a three-headed backfield, even with Carter being the smaller head, are we thinking that any of those running backs finish top 24? I
Brees,
mean,
yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know,
Brees
man.
can finish top 24.
You're bullish. You're bullish on him.
I'm
You're more bullish on him
I'm very
than I
bullish
am.
on him.
So yeah, it seems like you're on the field that breezes him, and I'm just unsure on both guys. So definitely a conundrum here if you wanna aim at those Jets running backs. I wouldn't fault you for doing either thing. I mean, right now I think Dalvin is a better value than Breeze,
I
but I probably wouldn't touch either.
I think by the end of the season I'll be doing a Brees Hall victory lap.
I'll be waiting for it.
Moving on, because believe it or not, this was supposed to be NFC predictions, but let's get to some of the injuries that happened. As I said last week, I am a card carrying holder of the Terrace Marshall fan club, and he went down, and I think that's something that's more concerning. Is I haven't gotten a follow up. Is there a follow up to Terrace Marshall getting carted off?
I believe the only follow-up that I got was that it was a back injury and that he was out either from the preseason game or from the practice game that was happening in the next few days. So yeah,
So will he be
not
back
100.
for the regular season?
That's the $1 million question, I guess. I don't think we have gotten an update on that yet. Um, but I don't know, man. Let me see. Maybe we can get an update on the fly here. According to Sleeper, I don't think there's any update yet on him. So yeah, he's just out Friday against the Giants. That's the only thing that we heard.
God.
The team has not stated how serious the injury is, so
Oh,
you'll
that's
have to
never good.
you'll have to keep checking. They are still evaluating the extent of Marshall's back injury.
Oh, that's never good.
And he was also the fourth wide receiver in the depth chart. Now it's preseason depth chart, so you really don't care about those, but still. I
It's
believe
not about
Jonathan
saying it's
Mingo
preseason depth
was
charts.
ahead of him.
I also have reports saying that Terrace Marshall is the wide receiver one in Carolina. So you really don't know until actual football is starting to get played. That said, good night, sweet prince, if you're down. Moving
And
on.
we talked about it in real life football episode, where I just listened to a Panthers beat reporter mentioning that Terrence Marshall Jr. was their choice for wide receiver one. So
Yeah,
an unfortunate situation for you as a Terrence Marshall card member.
yeah. Card carrying. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
looking at a wide receiver where I'm in the same situation as you, Jameson Williams. I believe he also suffered an injury today.
He suffered an injury
Uh,
on top of getting suspended?
yeah, he suffered an injury. I believe it
God.
was it on his foot? I believe, wasn't it? I believe no, it was his hamstring. It was his hamstring. Yeah, leaves practice with apparent leg injury. Pulled up, holding his right hamstring during the Lions practice. So yeah, he walked to the locker room under his own power, but still, with those speedy wide receivers, the soft tissue injuries are always concerning. Uh,
Yep.
it's not great for a for a wide receiver with the drop problems that he had, and the
How do
suspension
you
on
know
top
he's
of
had
it.
drop problems? I don't think I've seen him take the field.
Oh, I mean, like on his first preseason game. I mean, first you had Dan Campbell saying like his hands weren't like great,
Oh
they weren't
yeah,
like top notch,
the
and they would never be, and that's okay because he has the speed. And like in preseason game one, his first target, he drops it. So
oh
it's not encouraging for my guy.
no, it is not. Oh, moving on. Traylon Burks also went down, so there's just no hope. I don't know if
We were
I'm not sure if Traylon Burks was going to be a thing because I'm not a fan of anyone on the Titans offense outside of Derrick Henry at this point. But man,
Apparently, it's only an LCL injury. This news is
really.
quite recent, from like 7 minutes ago. Yeah, so he's only slated to miss only a few weeks.
So he might be back by the regular
So
season.
yeah, encouraging signs at least.
That's good.
Yeah. Another wide receiver. I mean, wide receivers are dropping like flies right now, it seems.
Yeah.
But another Lions wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, suffered an injury today.
What?
Uh, yeah, it's dealing with what seems to be a minor lower right leg injury, and he got his ankle tapped. So it doesn't seem to be too concerning, but still, I mean, and he has that dog in him, so of course that you won't let this hold him back. But still, small injuries all around.
That is crazy. So, I think at this point we should probably get into the heart of the episode, which was or NFC offenses that we're targeting in some of the fantasy assets from those
For sure, for
offenses.
sure.
I'm gonna start off swinging hot. I'm all wheels up on the Saints offense, and I'm all wheels up on Chris Olave. Like, Go for him. You got him from me. Congratulations. Like Chris Olave.
And
Chris Olave is going to finish as a wide receiver one. There's my hot take.
I mean, and he's currently being drafted as one. Yeah, I think he's being drafted as wide receiver 12 off the board.
Yeah.
That's his ADP according to Sleeper.
No.
So yeah, and I think he's one of those guys who has like crazy upside to be the wide receiver one overall. Even with my doubts on Derek Carr, I think he will have the volume to support that. I don't believe Michael Thomas will be anything of note that will impede Olave to reach those heights. And I believe I think you're on track to something here. I also believe in Olave. I like him at his ADP even
Yeah.
because I think he's one of those wide receivers who can really achieve that upper echelon. And I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if next season we're talking about a big trio of Justin Jefferson, Chase, and Olave.
Wouldn't be shocked at all either. It's just going to be Derek Carr
Especially
out
for
there throwing
Dynasty.
bomb after bomb after bomb to Olave. And you're just going to be like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Won't won't win the Saints many games, but for sure will win the Dynasty owners and the fantasy owners a lot of games. Those of us who have Olave, and I believe I have him in like 2 or 3 leagues. So yeah, definitely a player I also like. Uh, as I said, I think you're on track to something here.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone else on the Saints that you like right now?
I'm trying to figure out exactly who the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 are on for the Saints. And once that's because I have heard like 3 or 4 different names touted out there for. So once we figure that out, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with acquiring Alvin Kamara, especially with only a 3-game suspension in redraft.
I definitely expected more. 3 games seems low. I was aiming at around like 6. So yeah, definitely. If you bought him before the news came out, congratulations. I believe you got a discount there. His current ADP is like end of the 5th round, and I actually think he can give you a lot of value there. Because he's one. I mean, you still have Kendra Miller, who I like, but Kendra Miller also got injured right now. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a player who has that boom upside, especially for this year. I'm not sure I would buy him in Dynasty, but for redraft, is for sure buy in my opinion as well. And I mean, you were talking about the wide receiver 2 and 3 there. I mean, does it matter who the wide receiver 3 is? I believe like the 2 should be Michael Thomas for like the first 2 or 3 games.
That's fair.
Then he gets injured, and then like it doesn't
Wow.
matter probably. You're just looking at Taysom Hill playing all the positions on the field, getting like touches and making those great boom weeks like he had versus Seattle last year. And that's the Saints offense. It's Olave, Kamara, and the random boom or bust week of Taysom Hill. I mean, Juwan Johnson is also a good option, but he has been touted as a good option for a few years now. So yeah, I mean, go for Taysom Hill, play him every week, and you get those boom weeks that will eventually give you a top 9 tight end finish. You'll just have to deal with like the 1 point game, 2 point game, and then you get like a 34 point game.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. So let's talk. Since your favorite team is in the NFC, let's talk about your favorite team. How are you navigating the Seahawks? Because there's a lot of interesting things you can talk about. You can talk about DK Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN and how that works. You can talk about Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet and how that works out. Like, what would you target the Seahawks offense first off for players? Because you can get Geno Smith really, really late. And what players would you stack him with?
I mean, as I said prior,
And it just crashed. Sorry. Alex is in a hotel, and his
and there I
internet
go.
is not as solid as it usually is. What's up?
I cut off again. It's the
Yes, it
the
did.
props of.
The problems of
Okay,
being in
can
a
you
hotel.
can you repeat the question?
How are you navigating the Seahawks offense with the 3 wide receivers and the 2 running backs?
I mean, as I said before, Kenneth Walker is my guy. He will always be my guy. I believe, like what is being drafted as running back 15. I think he still has the same upside to be a top five guy. I don't like Zach Charbonnet. I don't believe he will be a good running back NFL in the NFL. I don't like his running style, and I don't really like what I saw in college a lot. Plus, I mean, like his best season came as a senior, and he stayed the next 3 year in college. So not good indicators, I would believe. Plus, I mean, there just isn't that alpha dog. He had to run away from Michigan before the big kind of Falker explosion because I mean, you just saw him in practice and was like, "Oh, I can't deal with this. I have to bounce." And I mean, same thing will happen right now in training camp. You will just look at the menacing Kenneth Walker, and Kenneth Walker will just show him who's in charge. And I
Oh
still like Kenneth.
wow!
I still like Kenneth Walker. I believe he will give you more passing upside than what we are than what we believe he usually gets us. I mean, he wasn't seen as a great like pass catching back out of college, but I mean, year one he still had what like 27 catches, so he showed you that he can indeed catch balls out of the backfield at the pros. So outside
Unlike
of the
my
running back.
my previous position, Kenneth Walker does actually have arms, and he's not a glorified T-Rex out there. Yes.
Okay, okay. I was actually waiting for the apology because I couldn't believe the slander of, oh my God, Kenneth Walker didn't catch passes in college. He's for sure can catch passes in the NFL. I
Listen, I
mean,
understand the
it reached a
argument that just
point.
because he didn't do it in college doesn't mean he can't do it in the NFL. But at the same time, if you didn't do it in college, what history and what indication do you have that he's going to be great at it in the NFL? You don't. That doesn't just happen. You don't just suddenly decide, "Oh, I'm going to be a good receiver now in at an NFL level," and then do it. Like it's Pete Carroll's
But
design. It's Kenneth Walker's ability to adapt and like yes, he proved me wrong. He can receive. There you go.
yeah, but my point was never that he would be this amazing pass catcher in the NFL. My point was just that I mean didn't have the opportunity at Michigan. They barely passed the ball to the running back. So who's to say that he can't actually catch balls? And most of the takes that I saw, especially from you and a few of our league mates that I usually clash with, the stance that you guys took was pretty much like he will just be a pure boulder. He won't have any sort of pass catching upside, which I didn't believe because I never saw it. I mean, if I saw that the guy couldn't actually catch the ball, like all of the targets went by him, it just had like butter fingers. I mean, I would believe that, but I never actually saw it. So my point was maybe we will wait for see what he does in the pros, catching wise, before having those takes. But no, you guys were pretty adamant against it, so I took my victory laps when I could. Now the Zach Charbonnet is another stone on his way, and I mean the dude will just turn it around and keep on his smashing way. I love my guy Kenneth Walker. Another guy that I like, it's Jackson Smith and Jigwa. I don't believe the volume will be there this year, so I still think you should only really go for the DK Tyler Lockett combo. Probably keep targeting Lockett. I mean, he had a better year than DK last year. I mean, it happens because Lockett, I believe it's a more consistent guy, while DK is a more boom or bust type of player. Not that he will give you those bad weeks, like those god awful uh, week losing weeks, but still, I believe like Lockett won't have the crazy upside that DK has any given week, but he will give you a steady pace of weeks. And he's one of my favorite Seahawks to draft every year because I always think you can get him at a value. I bought him last year in our dynasty league for like an early second when there was absolutely no one on the board that looked good. And I was happy with it because he had a pretty good season. I believe in Gino still. I don't think it was a 1 year wonder thing. So
I
yeah, I
don't
would
think it
say
was a
buy the
fluke.
Seahawks. I don't. I
So
think Gino was pretty good, man.
so here's my because I see and I understand why you want to be conservative with the JSN prediction. But let's be real. JSN beat out Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave in college for targets. The Seahawks drafted him in the first round. Granted, it was the 20th overall pick, but they drafted him in the first round. He has amazing. He is the best wide receiver and most hyped talent since Jamar Chase, correct?
Correct.
I think the chance that JSN is out there on two wide receiver sets and either DK or Lockett is higher than a lot of people think.
How
And
high
I
is
think
that chance?
hmm,
How high is that
better than
chance, though?
50% in JSN's favor.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I'm
I think
telling
you're
you.
being lured away.
I'm telling you. I, you it might be a Kenneth Walker situation, but you don't just go from I can beat out elite competition to I can't beat out elite. I don't think. I think by the end of the season, JSN is your second wide receiver or first wide receiver. I'm telling you. Maybe
I
it's
will
an
have
injury.
to.
Maybe that bails me out. Maybe he outproduces them. Maybe he's better at getting separation and getting open than them. But one of those things is happening. JSN is that guy.
I mean, in case of an injury, sure, I could definitely see it, of course. But I
Yes,
mean, I don't know, man. Tyler Lockett has like 4 consecutive years of being a 1,000 yards wide receiver. He's really
he's the
good. He's
model of
really
consistency.
underappreciated.
He is the
Exactly.
model of
And
consistency, and he's going down.
and he's really underappreciated, man. I don't know. I think you're being lured away by the draft capital, which I don't think it means a lot for the Seattle Seahawks. If you look at how we drafted them
No, I'm
recently,
getting
you
lured
see,
away by the fact that JSN is a stud, and you start your studs. That's what
I
I'm
mean,
getting lured away by.
and isn't Tyler Lockett a stud though?
He's not JSN. Not anymore.
I mean, at the NFL level, he's better than JSN because he has proved that he's actually an NFL player. And you know that we can love the prospects all we want. We loved Corey Davis, but when you entered the NFL, I mean, it didn't actually went that well. And there's a lot of guys that don't exactly meet expectations right away. Plus, JSN was a year removed from playing football, wasn't he? I don't believe he played much last year.
No, he did not.
Um, I do not follow a lot of college ball, but still, it's common knowledge. But yeah, I like JSN for the future. I don't necessarily love him for redraft, and he's being drafted ahead of Tyler Lockett right now, which is dangerous. I mean, the payoff is that you get one of those crazy rookie seasons and that he goes absolutely off. So as wide receiver 30, it's still probably worth it. I would be
Yeah.
more on board with it if he
No, I
was being drafted behind Lockett, but still, I think it's still the DK Lockett duo for this year. And next year, maybe we get a lot of JSN mixed in.
I think I'm going JSN. That's all I think. So let's move on to another offense in the NFC West since we're there, and it seems like all the teams are good if you ignore the Cardinals. 49ers. Who's their quarterback? And how are they going to distribute all the weapons they have from George Kittle to Christian McCaffrey to Debo Samuel to Ayuk to it just the list goes on and on forever, it feels like. So how are you dissecting the 49ers?
I mean, as I mentioned in the football podcast, the RRL football podcast, I think it's Purdy to start, but I think it eventually ends up being Lance to finish the year, maybe with some Sam Darnold mixed in. So I think San Francisco 49ers weapons will be sort of a mess to own because the current switch at QB won't be great of the options involved. I think Purdy would be the more stable QB for all of the weapons involved, and I don't necessarily believe Lance will give you that stability because of his rushing upside. And he's also I don't think he's that refined of a passer. I believe he has less pass attempts across his whole career than Gino had last year. So he's a pretty inexperienced quarterback. Uh, I like some of the weapons. I like where Ayuk is being drafted, like around wide receiver 28, according to the sleeper ADP. I think that's a value from all of the reports that we have that he is currently like the best player in the 49ers camp. But it all depends on the QB. If my read is wrong and Purdy starts all of the games, I mean, I think most weapons are safe because you will be mostly a passing QB. There's very little rushing involved. But yeah, how are you reading this like whole mess of the 49ers?
I am so here is the big problem. The 49ers are going to be a good offense. And you want to invest in a good offense. But I think just the volume of weapons they have is going to kind of cap where each one of them can finish, particularly. I think CMC has a chance to be the running back one in fantasy this year. And if you doubt that, I don't know what to tell you. But for Christian McCaffrey to be the running back one in fantasy, do you know who takes that hit the biggest?
Debo?
Debo Samuel. So it just depends. It really just depends how they plan on utilizing everything they have. I think George
But I'm,
Kittle is a little bit overrated. I think that he was propped up by touchdowns, and as you've told me ad nauseum, touchdown is really the hardest position to translate year over year over year. I don't think Kittle's going to be as good as he was last year because of all the touchdowns.
yeah, and he didn't have an insane volume. He had like 60 catches, but I just had like 11 touchdowns, which is more than he ever had in his career. It's almost double
Exactly.
the next biggest amount that he had in his career.
It's not happening again.
So yeah, I can definitely see some regression there. Regarding Debo, though, it does seem like last year he was affected somewhat by the contract discussions. He admitted to that himself. I mean, it can be just like players talking, and just like sort of an excuse. But it does appear that he wasn't really there to start the season. So I could see a bounce back and maybe like reaching those heights that he was before, where he had like that really crazy season. Of course, not to the same extent because now they have Christian McCaffrey. But I wouldn't be shocked if like they wanted to save McCaffrey for the playoffs with all of the injury history that he has. Plus, I believe like last season when Elijah Mitchell was healthy, he scored a whole less points. I believe it was 8 fantasy points less per game when Elijah Mitchell was around. But I mean, it's not a huge sample size from what I know. So yeah, I don't love CMC where he's being drafted. I think
He's
everything
being
has
drafted as the
to
running back one already.
yeah, and I don't necessarily love it because he was what? He was running back two last year, and I mean, I find it hard to believe that a guy with like back-to-back seasons of constant injuries, especially like now that he's with the 49ers. I know he played the whole season last year, but I mean, the 49ers are known for their injuries. So I find it hard to believe that he will have another fully healthy season, especially now at 27 with all of the touches that he had already. I mean, it's just coming off a season where he had like what? It was over 300 touches again. So I don't know, man. Being drafted as a running back one, it carries a lot of risk. Yet he certainly has the upside for it if he's still healthy. Um, but yeah, the stars have to align perfectly. So I don't necessarily love the big risk. And I mean, he's being drafted as a running back one, but should be like the player four being drafted right now, probably behind Chase, Jefferson, and probably Cup. Um, I don't know. I don't necessarily love McCaffrey. I don't hate McCaffrey. I'm thinking just okay with McCaffrey. I would monitor how Elijah Mitchell is doing, because if the trend persists from last year, it could be an issue if you're being drafted as the running back one. But yeah, you seem to be fully on board with the CMC hype train.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine
I
drafting
mean,
him as the running back
someone
one.
someone has to elevate out of all those weapons to the top, and I think CMC has the best chance.
And are you happy with drafting him as the player 101 in redraft?
Heck, what are you talking
I mean, you are the running back advocator in this show,
I am the running.
so
Yeah, I am. I am the RB advocator. You are right.
but not
But
over Jefferson, Chase, and Cup, or are you
so
okay drafting him over
here's
Cup?
the problem. Here is the problem. So running back heavy previously worked because where we were at the NFL at the time, the fantasy points you got from running backs, you could get to a level that a wide receiver simply could not touch. We have now kind of flipped the script, and now there are seasons like Tyreek Hill, or yeah, Tyreek Hill last year, or Justin Jefferson, that now the running backs are struggling to touch. So I think we've actually gone full circle, and the passing volume is finally at a point where the way your stance is 100% correct. A wide receiver right now can have a season that no the running back can't match, and that's unfortunate, but that's the way of the world.
I
Things
love it
change.
as a wide receiver advocator.
Yeah. I think Justin Jefferson, because let's be real, if you're in PPR, you want a wide receiver who can get you close to 300 points on the year. If you got that, you're in a good spot. If you got two of that, you're in a really good spot. But I think the days of the bell cow running back for the most part is dead. There are like a handful of them, if that. So I think
Especially
the
because those
next
guys get
those guys have what?
no, no. Yeah, I was saying because those guys also the wide receivers also get way less touches than the top running backs. So there's way smaller uh, the running back. That's why you can see the end, in my opinion. I was always an advocate of the wide receiver. And yeah, as you said, it's becoming more and more likely that the wide receivers can outscore those top running backs. So I'm excited for that.
Yes. So moving on to the next team and the only other team in the NFC West that because I'm not talking. Oh, do you have something to talk about the Cardinals? I think Hollywood Brown is a
Avoid
trap. I think if
everyone
you're
but
toting
James
him, that
Conner.
you're crazy. I think if you're toting James Conner, you're. I saw James Conner in a 10-person league go in the first 4 rounds. What are you thinking? Why?
I mean,
Sell me on James Conner getting you to whatever 19, 20 points a game. Please sell me on the Cardinals offense. James Conner
no,
repeating that.
running back four. I'm round four. I'm completely out. But I mean, right now his ADP is running back 24, and I think it's pretty good to it's a pretty good bet to take because we have been fading James Conner for 2 years now, and the dude keeps delivering whenever he's healthy. And I mean, the team has indicated that they are completely comfortable with James Conner as a running back one. You'll get all of the touches in the backfield, in my opinion. I don't really think there's anyone there to threaten him. Um, and I mean, the offense isn't great, but I mean, like last year, the Texans weren't great either, and still, Damian Pierce managed to get his way to like a top, what, 30 running back, and that's without basically being that great of a pass catcher, which James Conner is
Top
a
30 is
much better
still
pass catcher.
top 30 is still outside of the running back too.
I mean, still, but like James Conner is a much better pass catcher in my opinion. So, and if the offenses run it towards them, and it's incredibly difficult for no matter how bad of an NFL team they are, they will still score points. So at the end of the day, I think most of those might come from James Conner. So I think at running back 24, he's a value, and someone that I'm looking at in those runs. It's not a sexy name, but still,
I think it's a fool's errand unless you're going to tell me Kyler Murray is going to have a bonker season when he comes back.
I
But you
don't
you
even
can't
think
sell me
Kyler
on the
Murray come
Arizona
back.
offense until Kyler's back. What's up?
I don't, I don't even think he will be back, but still, the offense needs to run by someone, and they won't be like the worst team ever, and they will need to score points.
Don't
So,
feel like it.
do you think they just won't score any points? It's like a three
Don't feel like
point
the worst
per
team ever.
game team.
You don't think there's a chance the Cardinals look absolutely atrocious to start the season?
I think there's a chance, but I still think they will
I
score
think there's a
points
chance
no
they get
matter
shut
what.
out the first game.
Who's the first game against? Is
Does
it?
it matter?
I mean, it always matters. I think we're being too harsh, and I don't particularly like the Cardinals, but I still think they'll score points. So I mean, I would only touch James Conner. I'm really not keen on touching in anyone else, especially now that Hurts is back. Trey McBride loses a lot of his
They play
upside
the
at tight end.
Commanders week 1.
I mean, they won't get shut out versus the Commanders. The Commanders
You
also
would
aren't
think.
great.
You're right. They're
I
not
would
great.
bet you right now that they won't. But still, yeah, it's the only cardinal that I would target right now. It's James Conner. Some folks like Hollywood Brown. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't even know who their wide receiver one will be between like him. Now they're stuck with Michael Wilson or something. You still have Rondell Moore there. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
I
have
think
the
there's a sneaky
receiving core.
chance it's Rondo Moore, but at the end of the day, you're getting the wide receiver one. I don't care.
But I mean, there's a chance. There's 100% certainty that James Conner is the guy. So I mean, I would just take the only sure thing in that offense and go with that. That's my take, basically.
Okay, the St. Louis Rams. I have them as a little mini bounce back team, but at the same time, the Rams are basically 1-2, throw it to Cooper Cup. Hopefully he stays healthy. I think the only other piece you can talk about Tyler Higbee being a sleeper, and I mean if the Rams have a bounce back season, yeah, that's going to happen. But I think Cam Akers is the player that is most controversial on the Rams. What is your take on Cam Akers and the Rams offense as a whole, aka Cooper Cup?
Um, I like Cooper Cup. That's basically it. If you're looking at Cam Akers' show from last year, I don't know if it's there. There's still a lot of folks that love Cam Akers, especially what he did last year
I feel
to
disappointed
close
in
out
us
the
because we
season.
used the sad horn for the Rams offense, but we couldn't use the sad horn for the Arizona Cardinals.
It was on your hand to use it. You just seem to maybe sneakily love the Cardinals. Maybe that's the point you're
Wow.
getting at. Uh, but yeah, it's Cooper Cup for me. I think it will still run by Cooper Cup. It's always Cooper Cup. Tyler Higbee will have it's a touchdown play. It's touchdown or bust. He likely won't have the volume. And now you still have the little Stafford thing. I mean, I could see him retire sooner. I don't think he will retire mid-season, but even with his injuries, it's always a danger with him. Maybe we see some Stenson Bennett. And if we see Bennett, I don't even know. If we see Bennett, it's even more. If we see Bennett, you just tell everyone. But yeah, Cam Akers, I mean, like he's being drafted around the running back too, a low end running back too. I'm fine with that. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Yeah,
I'm so
it
conflicted
was
with
never
Cam
a
Akers.
prospect that I love, but you like them as a prospect though,
I did.
and
He's not
you were s-
his receiving upside is not what I thought it would be. And I think at the end of the day, the Rams, even with a comeback season, is going to be an average offense. I think that's about where their ceiling is. Would you agree with that?
yeah, I would think so as well. They lost a lot of the offensive line pieces that made that offensive line good. Plus, some of those got older as well, and there's
You're
really
right.
no wide receiver two in that team, in my opinion. A
And here's the
consistent wide
thing.
receiver two.
And here's the thing. Offensive line is way more important, as at least as far as a fantasy standpoint, to running backs than it is for wide receivers. So
Huh?
I think that at the end of the day, the Rams being an average offense, the offense basically being 1-2, throw it to Cooper Kupp, is going to kind of cap where like if you believe Cam Akers is a running back 1, I don't see that path. He's got to get so many like goal line touchdowns, it would be ridiculous. He'd have to be in the double digits. So I don't know if I can see the path to a running back 2. I can't see the path to a running back 1.
But I also couldn't see a path to like high hand running back too. So we're talking about a low hand running back too.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, that's where he's being drafted. So yeah,
I mean,
it
so
feels
maybe
okay.
he's
But it's
there.
still,
Maybe he's where he should be then. Maybe he's where he should be.
yeah, I think it's probably valid.
Bro, I got
That's
asked today.
basically it.
Because I unfortunately in one league have Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins, and I just got asked, hey, what would it take for Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins? And my eyes just got really big, and I was like, how do I do this? Like, I think if you
Without
have
jumping from
Cam
the
Akers or
chair.
J.K. Dobbins, you just have to hold. You can't be like, yeah, here's a second round.
What if he was just like, here's the first round pick? I mean, wouldn't you
Yeah,
just sell both right away
maybe.
if you get a first for both?
I
Like
don't
for
know.
like so two firsts in that scenario?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, those are the big misses from that class, J.K. Dobbins and Akers. I was actually not on either. I didn't love Akers. I just couldn't have a lot of chances to grab Dobbins. But yeah, my favorite guy of the bunch, I believe they were from the same class, wasn't it? Like the Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Dobbins
Yes.
class. Yeah.
Yep.
So my favorite guy was actually Swift. So
Yeah, you didn't end up too good
I,
either.
I guess I guess
If you drafted a
we
running back
can
there at this point, you're not doing too hot.
unless it was. I mean, even JT right now.
JT right
At least
now
with
is a huge
JT, got
question
that big
mark
season.
too. Like you were doing fine up until this point if you had JT.
I mean, you are still doing better with all of those guys than you are if you drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire
I
was the
mean, but
101. Not in our leagues, but
exactly,
he was the
not in
101
our
in a
league.
lot of leagues.
I mean, it's just one of those scenarios where a player gets drafted because of their offense. It certainly reminds me of a wide receiver being drafted high this
Oh,
year.
not Quentin. We're not going back to Quentin.
I haven't mentioned any names.
Uh huh. Okay, so we talked about the NFC West. Let's go to what is probably going to be one of the worst divisions in the NFC South. We already talked about the Saints. I'm wheels up on them. You seem to be semi wheels up on them, even though you didn't predict them to win their own division. Do you have anything to
Yeah.
talk about Carolina? Like how are you approaching Miles Sanders? That's probably the
Miles
most
Sanders
interesting.
is
Is
probably
Adam
the
Thielen going to
only
be a thing still?
Adam Thielen won't be a thing, in my opinion. I mean, it was god awful last year in terms of most metrics for his
Touchdowns,
efficiency and so on.
baby!
I
Touchdowns!
mean, yeah, touchdowns rule, but I don't think this offense will have a lot of those. I think Bryce will have a decent rookie season, not great, not awful, because I believe in the player. I can't. The only player I would approach on the Panthers would probably be Miles Sanders. I think that offense, both passing and rushing, because I don't think the offense will be terrible. So, and he's being drafted right now as a mid running back too. He's running back 20, so mid to late. So definitely a running back that I would target. Other than that, I think I would go with the tight end, Aiden Nurse. I believe he joined
He did
the Panthers this year,
off the
and
Bengals.
yeah, from all of the reports and from him, from his own mouth, I believe he's being used more as a receiver. And we know that rookie QBs usually have that connection with the tight ends for safety and so on. So I think it can be a sneaky play. Not super consistent, but I mean, he's being drafted as like the tight end 24, like 178 ADP, 178, 179. Yeah, I think he is a good value where he's being drafted. Won't have the highest of the touchdown upsides, but I think he will have consistent work, which can make him a solid top 15, top 12 tight end. So yeah, for his value, I think I'm in. I don't believe it will rock your world. He won't be one of those elite tight ends, but still, I think he will be a solid option.
So here's the thing. All right. Terrace Marshall, card carry. I don't. I think the offense is going to be more underrated. I think the offense is going to be better than the Rams, even potentially. So, with that said, I think there is a small chance Miles Sanders, with opportunity, not on talent because he is an older running back, but on opportunity alone will be a low end running back one. I think there's an off chance that happens.
I wouldn't be shocked, honestly.
I wouldn't either. At wide
Yeah,
receiver,
I
I
think we're on
think
the
there
same
has
page.
to be a beneficiary. I low key think Hayden Hurst might have the best shot. What about the rookie they drafted, Mingo, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, yeah, Terrence Marshall 2.0.
So he's going to be the GOAT?
No, he's gonna be the next bust that they drafted.
Harris Marshall is not a bust yet.
Yet, okay, just 2 years of nothing. To be fair to him, I think part of it was the coaching staff that
The
uh,
first year, yes. And not only
misused them.
that, he finished the season fine. He got more
Yeah, I mean,
opportunities. And
yeah, I, yeah. I mean, with Terrence Marshall, I've tried to acquire him in a few places because I think he's really cheap right now, and I think
where
you can get him at
the
a good price.
hell would you be able to get Terrace Marshall without talking to me?
There's one league where you don't have him, which is a early managed league. And that's the only league where I tried to acquire them, and the answer that I got was I like Terrence Marshall Jr. So yeah, nothing came of that,
Funny
I
enough,
believe.
I tried to acquire him too, and then he sent me like a pick for like a first for him in that 32 man. I was like, oh god, oh god.
Yeah, I believe he
I
has put him
closed
on the
my eyes and I,
block right now. So
you know, sometimes you just gotta,
yeah,
close your eyes and hit accept. But that was not one of those moments.
but yeah, regarding Mingo, I don't really see anything with Mingo. The dude like was never the leading wide receiver on his team. Is one of those profile guys who tested really well. I mean, if you look at that, he has like a 96 percentile speed score,
Ooh,
91st percentile burst score. So
ooh.
yeah, it's one of those like athletic freaks that sort of jump on the eyes. But then you look at his production, and he was never the wide receiver one on his own team. He never led the team in receiving yards and so on. And I believe like the guy who played with him at Ole Miss this year and led the team in receiving yards was actually undrafted. It was like, I believe I want to say like, I believe he's now, yeah, Javon Wims, who's now a Green Bay Packer, I believe. That was the guy who who led the team in receiving yards, and he went undrafted. So I
So,
mean, like the better wide receiver on the team went undrafted. So maybe just go for him,
so
I would
Jonathan
say.
Mingo, super athletic, shines off the pages. Got beat out
Yes.
by a guy who couldn't even get drafted to the NFL.
Yes.
That
Perfectly encapsulates Jonathan Mingo.
was deserving.
Yeah, I don't love him. I don't think there's anything there. I believe he was overdrafted because of his athletic profile, who's incredible, I believe. I mean, he was like the second wide receiver in this year's class in athleticism. So incredible, but still, production profile isn't there, so I don't love those guys. I mean, he never had more than 5 touchdowns in any season. He played 4 years in college. Not a fan. Not a fan of Jonathan Mingo for sure. Didn't break out until year three, and that's with like 346 yards in still in 6 games, but yeah, year three breakout, 4 years in college, never led the team in production. Not great. Best comparable player, according to Player Profiler, is Alan Lazard. I'm out.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
There,
yeah, I mean, if you wanna
there.
target the wide receiver, Terrence Marshall will be it. I'm on the same page as you,
Yep,
but I think the leading, as you said, the leading man in that offense might be Hayden Hurst. So I mean, he's being drafted very very cheaply right now. You can get him very very late in drafts. Maybe take a shot at him.
I agree. So now let's get interesting because I want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. So, what do you think happens with all of those weapons and Desmond Ritter getting them the ball?
While I do believe the Falcons win the division and will be a
I
sneaky
don't.
team,
I
I
don't.
don't believe you draft any weapons in the Falcons.
It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
I would love Drake London, and I do love Drake London. He was my wide receiver one coming out this class. How many yards can he get? How many targets can he get? He was on a better pace to get targets than Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts is 6'6" and runs like a 4'4". So he
I
is
mean,
amazing at getting separation. He is amazing at getting targets. The volume's not going to be there.
do we believe he'll get over 100 targets? Because I do.
I don't. We're bro. Like they're going to only throw it like 200 sometimes, probably.
I would be shocked because, but this is because I
Would you?
also think Tyler Heineke plays a lot this year. So yeah, I would be shocked, and also, like I believe it will be Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and then some. Was it Mac Hollins that they brought in this year? Yeah, Mac
Yeah,
Hollins.
Matt
And then
Collins.
some Mac Hollins. So maybe target
Are,
some Mac Hollins because I don't believe anyone else will be involved in this offense consistently.
are you at all
But yeah,
concerned that the head coach basically came out and said, "Yeah, we're basically going to run it like it's 1973," and and, and Bijan Robinson is basically going to be like Joe, or God, I can't even think right now. Is going to be like Bo Jackson. Bo
yeah.
knows.
I mean, should bode well for Bijan. I still wouldn't draft him. Where he's being drafted,
What?
like
I
top.
think I
What?
think he's gonna. The
Well,
only thing out of the Falcons, I think is going to be worth it is Bijan. I think if anything gets the stupid volume, it's going to be Bijan. It's not going to be Kyle
does
Pitts.
Bijan?
As much as I love Drake London, it's not going to be Drake London. They're going to
I mean,
be
but
the
will
most
Bijan?
boring team offensively to watch, and they're going to have some of the best weapons in the NFL. I hope you know that.
But do we believe Bijan gets the receiving work that makes him like potential top one running back? Because I don't. I believe Nick Chubb has a better chance to get the receiving work than Bijan.
Nick Chubb probably does have a better chance to get the receiving work because, unlike the Falcons, the Browns might pass the ball more than 200 times.
I mean, yeah, and if you're targeting Bijan, why not get like Nick Chubb, who's what you're hoping Bijan will be? I mean, I don't understand the Bijan ADP. I think he's being way too overdrafted. He's way too high, and I don't believe he will have that running back one ceiling. I don't believe that's in the cards for him. I think we will be looking at Bijan at the end of the year, how we looked at Nick Chubb like the last 2 years. A great running back who gets a lot of touches but not a lot of targets, and that will hinder him somewhat.
And, ladies and gentlemen, that is the
So
best weapon on the Atlanta Falcons.
yeah, basically you can draft any Falcon in my opinion. I do believe Drake London, his ADP is just too high because I do believe Drake London can be somewhat of a consistent weapon. but
No,
he's
he
still
is a
being
consistent
drafted
weapon.
as
He is absolutely a consistent weapon. He has no one to throw him
and
the
and
ball.
he, and his ADP has dropped somewhat. I believe he is right now being drafted as wide receiver 22, and that's a wide
The
receiver
fact that he
two.
got 700-800 yards on that team last year is baffling to me.
And Marcus was much worse than Desmond, and I believe he improved with Desmond. It's just that some of his advanced analytics weren't really that great, even with Ritter. So I would be a bit afraid. I'm fine with him in Dynasty because I believe a QB will come that will elevate that offense further. Uh, just not this year,
I think they're
unless
closer to
Heineke
Caleb
has like,
Williams than they are of winning the division. I'll tell you that much.
nah, there's no way. They have the easiest schedule in the league, dude. They will just be a good team because of that. And I believe they will win the division. So I think they're really far away from Caleb. Plus all of the money that they invested in the defense. I really think people are underestimating the Falcons right now.
You know what?
I believe they are
You're
like
right.
third in odds for winning the division. There's absolutely no way the Bucks or the Panthers are a better team and have a better chance of getting a better record than they have. So yeah, I like the Falcons. I like them more for IRL football than fantasy because all of the pieces seem to be a bit mispriced. But yeah, maybe the only piece that I actually like now that he's being drafted as wide receiver 22 in Superflex and Sleeper, maybe it's Drake London because like I think he can have a solid wide receiver 2 season. I just don't believe he has the upside to be like that top 12 wide receiver. I don't believe
But
that's in the
here's the
cards yet.
thing, and here's the question: if you don't think he has wide receiver upside, like eventually you want to take players with that upside. That's why you draft a player like JSN on the off chance that happens. So,
Yeah,
like, why would you, if you're, okay with the risk anyway, then why would you go with Drake London, who isn't going to be in an offense to facilitate his potential?
I believe it's a bit independent. Take some riskier shots at the start of the draft. You don't want to keep taking those shots in the middle rounds. So in round like in the early to middle rounds. So in the rounds like 5, 6, 7, maybe you want to play a bit safer now that you added some boom bust risk to your team in the early rounds. And maybe if you start a bit safer, maybe if you start like a Stephon Diggs with like an AJ Brown or so, maybe you want to take some shots down the field. So maybe then you go for the JSN to have like that triple stack of wide receivers who can all be wide receiver ones. So I guess it depends on the team build. I'm usually a more conservative type of player. I like to take my guys early. For example, like in Olave, I would take those shots early, but in the middle rounds, I would try to get like solid contributors to the team. Uh, so yeah, I guess it just depends on the team build, as I said.
I don't
Well,
know.
you're a much more risk taker than I am.
Oh yeah, I'll go down with the ship. I don't care. It's fantasy
Uh,
football. Even if you're in, unless you're in a league where you have to the most embarrassing thing ever happen to you if you get dead last, why not? I'd rather have the higher chance to win my fantasy league than to finish like at the 4 or 5 or 6 position. That is a terrible position to be in. So yes, give me the chance to win the league. I don't care. Why not?
yeah, it's
What
grudges, yeah.
is getting
That's
what
fine.
is being in the middle of the pack going to get you, Alex?
It won't get me much, but you're just assuming that by drafting said player, I will be at the middle of the pack, which might not be. He still has the upside to be a higher wide receiver. I mean, we have our projections and we have our thoughts on the team, but at the end of the day, maybe Desmond Ridder comes out and impresses all of us. I mean, wouldn't be the first time I'm impressed by a QB that I don't love.
True.
So yeah, I believe it's in the range of outcomes that as some say. I don't believe it's the most of likeliest of the outcomes, but still, I mean, I don't know everything, and one of the phrases that I heard a long time ago, it's know what you know and know what you don't know. So I like the player's profile. I like the situation that is the situation in the team, that it's like it's him, it's Pitts, it's Bijan, so it's very like law of conservation of targets. So I mean, with those points, I would take the shot at Drake London, at maybe surprising me somewhat that the team is more pass FB than I think, because Desmond Ridder is a better QB than I think. So yeah, those would be my points as why to take Drake London would be good, because like he had a solid rookie season, that and there's no competition at wide receiver in the team. So yeah, I like him.
I don't know. But I think we're ready to move on to the Buccaneers, which the only thing I got on the Buccaneers is close your eyes and draft Chris Godwin. I don't close your eyes and draft Mike Evans. Close your eyes and draft
This is
Rashad.
the only
Like,
thing.
here's the thing. Not all of those guys are going to be able to hit with Baker Mayfield. That's the problem. Do you disagree? Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly
It's a
it.
terrible situation. I mean, I think you target Rashad White because right now he's being drafted as a running back 28, according to Slipper. So I mean, at running
Here's the
back
thing.
28, I
Here's the thing.
think Baker likes to try to a running back.
You want to be a fantasy content creator here? I'll give you your blueprint for the Bucks. You ready? Say you're going to target each and every one of those good players on the Bucks: Rashad White, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and then close your eyes because one of them is going to be right, but the rest are going to be wrong, and then you just focus on that. There you go. You're right. You correctly predicted Mike Evans. He maintained his touchdowns. It didn't regress. He's an amazing weapon. Let's forget about Chris Godwin and Rashad White. I was wrong about that. I don't know what to do with the Bucks offense. I don't think it's going to be great.
I believe it will be terrible.
Yeah.
Because Baker isn't a good QB. Kyle Trask is an horrendous QB in my opinion. I
We're going to
didn't
see
really
Kyle
like the
Trask.
prospect.
We're going to see Kyle Trask. I hope you know that.
Oh, you're for sure gonna see Kyle Trask, and it will be a disaster. I mean, the O line isn't great. I like I like the players that are Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think Rashad White can have upside, especially if Baker starts most games, because I think the targets will be there. So at running back 28, I think is a target. But I don't know, man. The wide receivers, I think one of them will be solid
One
enough
of
and
them will hit.
consistent enough to where,
I
yeah,
think I think there's
that
no
where
way
you
that
can
at
draft
least
them.
one of them doesn't hit. But the other one is going to be flat out catastrophic.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the clock and you like both Tampa Bay receivers, you just flip a coin and take whoever, because I believe that's as close as you will be to make a decision on those guys. And they are going like 20 spots apart. I believe Chris Godwin is going around pick 74, while Mike Evans is going around pick 94. So
Like I
there's
said,
like a two
you
round
close your
difference.
eyes, you roll a dice, and you pick one, and you hope you got it right. There you go.
I mean, I would just say if you like the Bucks guys, just take the guys going latest. So just take Mike Evans in this case. You're
Sure,
saying that both have like similar chances to hit. Just take the guys being drafted later.
sure, yeah. Whatever's cheapest.
Yeah,
Whatever's
especially
cheapest.
it's so big.
Okay, so let's move to a division that I actually want to talk about. let's, but I'll save the best for last. We're gonna move to the NFC North. I think the Green Bay Packers are gonna be sneaky.
I think so as well.
There was
My
actually a
prediction.
time. I think there's a league. I have Jordan Love and Christian Watson in, and I was trying to get Romeo Dobbs and Reed. I'm just like I think something's gonna happen. I think that Jordan Love is going to be so great for us in fantasy, but he is going to be so scary to watch. Like I think we're gonna see Jordan Love just saying screw it and chucking it 50 yards to Christian Watson, who will either come down with it or he won't. But it'll be great to watch, and it'll be great for fantasy, especially when you got, Christian Watson, 1 reception, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Like, I think that's going to happen. But I don't know how good they're going to be in real life.
I mean, I have them winning the division, and as you said, I think they will be sneaky good for fantasy. I think, especially like Aaron Jones, I think he's currently being underdrafted. The dude has never finished like below running back 10 in the last 4 seasons. So, and he's right now being drafted as the running back 16, 17. So, I mean, I think is pretty good value where he's being drafted. And yeah, as you said, like I like Christian Watson. I think he can be that deep threat guy, and I like the profile. He was one of the most athletic wide receivers out of the 2022 class. Dubs, I don't love Dubs. I think Jaden Reed can take a lot of work from Dubs. I think he's a sneaky guy. I think he'll get
Yeah,
a lot of work from the slot, and
yeah,
he will be a starter in three wide receiver sets. And then, I mean, we talk about the tight ends. I loved Tucker Craft out of college, but apparently, Luck Musgrave has been like all over the place, and the dude is freaky good and freaky athletic. So I
yeah.
mean, I just don't think he will be a value to draft because it's a rookie tight end, and those usually get hyped up. Plus, rookie tight ends don't usually produce year one,
Nope.
so I wouldn't be on board to buying him. But I mean, all of the signs look to be good on him, and I mean, I'm just looking at his ADP right now, and he's tight end 32. So at that point, I would just take the shot, even knowing that the tight ends as rookies
You
don't
know what?
usually produce.
Screw it. I'm going to say it. My thing for our redraft league this year was going to be drafting a stack of a sneaky offense, and the Packers were going to be that team.
And you might
And
still
seeing
get
if
that.
I probably won't. Now that I'm putting it out there, no, no, no. I will get trolled. I promise you, I will get sniped and trolled. But I'm telling you, there is a real chance that this Packers offense is like a top 15 offense, maybe even top 10 offense, and we just don't see it yet.
It wouldn't
They
shock me as
have
well.
all the
Wouldn't shock
building
me.
blocks. They have the offensive line. They have the investment in weapons. They have that uber athletic tight end. They have Aaron Jones and Dylan. Like
They have
Jordan
two
Love,
uber athletic tight ends.
Jordan Love doesn't realistically have to be like Patrick Mahomes for this to be a great offense. He just has to be good. And I don't know if he's good yet.
That's the issue, I guess. We don't know. We don't know what we have in Jordan Love yet. I don't believe he will be anything like awesome. But I mean, if he is, we can have all of these pieces in discount. And I mean, I think it's a
Exactly.
good offense to target
Exactly. I think
because the
there is a
investment isn't
chance.
huge.
There is a huge chance we could be here next year and the Packers stack won a lot of people, a lot of money, and a lot of redraft leagues. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked as well. I think they're being slept on. Everyone is kind of past them right now. It's the Lions and the Vikings are the new oddness with some Bears involved. But yeah, I still think the offense will be decent to good, and the defense is still solid. The offensive line is still pretty good. So yeah, I think all the pieces are in place, and if Jordan Love is at least viable, I think that offense will be pretty good, and we can get all of the pieces at very cheap, especially like Jaden Reed, who I think is a pretty sneaky guy in the slot. I mean, I'm
Yes.
looking and he's being drafted as like wide receiver 72. I think that's insane value for what he can provide you. One of the really good start throws that I want to throw late in my redrafts.
So let's move on really quickly. If you want to get the Bears offense, you draft Justin Fields, and then that's it. Moving on.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I don't like Justin Fields, but I mean, as a QB in for fantasy, I think he will be more than fine. It's the rushing floor that he gives you that it's amazing, but I definitely wouldn't touch any of the wide receivers, and I would take a shot on one of the running backs for sure, either Rashawn or Khalil.
I love Justin Fields. I'm probably not drafting him in redraft for the simple fact that I don't want to stack with Justin Fields. so, so like I'm not, that's not something you feel good about, you know? Like like if I stacked Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman if I like Bateman better, I'm okay with that.
I believe you
I
cut there a bit.
sorry. If I have Lamar Jackson, I'm okay stacking him with like Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman, whichever one you think is going to be the wide receiver one. I don't
Or
feel
Odell.
confident, or yeah, or even Odell. I don't know. I think Odell's capped, but I don't feel I would be it would be Maury or Mooney. It would be Mooney. It would be Mooney. I would stack with Fields, but I wouldn't feel good about that. That's not something I no. Bears make it super flex. Draft Justin Fields for the rushing upside, and basically have another running back out there. Stack your main quarterback. There you go. That's how
Yeah.
you win with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I would be on board with that. There's absolutely no scenario where I'm happy going into the week with a Justin Fields stack.
You go in, it's week 1, and you have Justin Fields and Mooney to end, and you need like 30 or 40 fantasy. I don't feel good. I don't feel good.
I mean, I'm sure Justin can get you like 25 to 30, but that's basically what you'll get from the stack.
Yeah. So moving on to offenses that are exciting, the Lions and the Vikings. Which one do you want to talk about?
I mean, I would just go with the Vikings.
The Viking. I
Do you
think
just get everyone?
I wouldn't mind doing a sneaky stack of the Vikings where you have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson with Kirk Cousins. I think that defense is going to be so bad that there's a real chance that TJ Hawkinson finishes as a top 3 tight end.
No Edison Love.
Huh?
No Edison Love?
No, you stack Addison on the bench in case it's a boom pick. You don't start him.
Uh,
You don't start him in the stack, Alex. You need to learn how to stack, Alex. You
I
stack,
don't usually stack.
and that's why you don't win your fantasy league, Alex. So you stack
That's
Kirk
exactly why.
Cousins with Justin Jefferson, and then you pick TJ Hawkinson in like the middle rounds, and then you feel good about yourself, Alex. And then in the late rounds, you get Reed. And then if it's boom, or even worse, if Justin Jefferson goes down, you still feel good about yourself. That's how
Okay,
you
so
do it, Alex.
what you don't do is draft Alexander Madison.
No, you do not draft Alexander Madison. You do not do that.
Yeah, we're on board, Sam. I think the hype is too high on Alexander Madison right now.
I think he's a jag, man. I think he's just another. I think there's a higher than 50% chance Alexander Madison does not finish the season as the top of the depth chart running back.
You know, the dream would be to have the tight Chandler making the rounds. Just obviously no, I'm not pulling for my team or anything here, but I mean, Ty Chandler showed you on the preseason what he's capable of, so I would just say for the Vikings to give him a chance. I don't even have any Ty Chandler on our dynasty league, like the 16 team. Just don't check my roster, but I don't have him.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure. It would be a shame if you got the job and I don't have him.
Oh. So we gave you the cheat codes for the Vikings. What about the Lions? Because I think that the Lions are an interesting team in the sense that they're probably going to have a top 10 offense, but since they lost Chark, I think that the offense is going to wildly be 1-2 throw it to Amon-Ra St. Brown
Or
with a
Sam
little bit of
Laporta.
Jahmyr Gibbs. What's that?
Maybe Sam Laporta.
You're going to fall into the trap of the rookie tight end again. But
I mean, it's always tempting.
but I think Yeah, I think the Lions offense is gonna just devolve into 1-2, throw it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's what I think is gonna
Even
happen.
when JMO is back.
Alex, stop it.
I want to believe in JMO so
The
much,
dream is dead.
dude.
The
He's
dream is
not
dead.
dead. He's
The
not
dream is
dead.
dead.
I still believe in the dude. I
I
still
have never
believe
seen
in
a
the
head
dude.
coach come out and be like, "Yeah, he doesn't have good hands, but that's just what you're gonna get. He'll just beat everyone with his speed, and maybe he'll catch one or two of those deep bombs."
And
I've never
he's
seen it.
capable of that. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back after 6 weeks and just
Meanwhile,
torches the league on fire.
no, he's not. Meanwhile, while J-Mo is getting, 3 targets, and you hope he catches 2 of them for 100 yards, Amon-Ra St. Brown is just going to keep getting peppered, target after target. He might average in the double digits, target after target after target, touchdown, like, no, it's Amon-Ra, man.
What if, what if JMO comes back after 6 weeks and what we get is a Randy Moss type of game
It's
where he
not
gets
happening.
like the 3 catches for 3 touchdowns,
Just admit they
but he goes
drafted
off.
Jamison Williams as high as they did to stretch out the defense so Amon-Ra St. Brown can lead the league in your yards, pretty much.
I won't because we haven't actually seen him play that much yet. So I want to see that before folding all of my JMO shares, which aren't a lot because I've sold some of them. But still, I still believe in the dude, and I really want to see him succeed.
It's over.
So I'm just crossing my fingers that he comes out of the gate swinging
The dream is
and
dead.
has that like storming game whenever he comes back.
The dream is dead.
I mean, and he's being drafted at what? What's his ADP for the wide receivers? I mean, he's wide receiver 46, so not the worst slot to dart throw to throw. I mean, you're looking at him or like Cortland Sutton or Juju Smith-Schuster or Michael Thomas or Gabe Davis. I would take him over all of those guys just on the chance that he actually goes off. So yeah, here you go. This is me taking the risk late on the drafts.
Oh, Alex takes a risk. There you go. Get JMO and feel bad about yourself later.
Yeah, probably will cut him like after his first week is like 1 for 0 because he dropped the ball. That's just a sad reality. I really love the prospect, but I'm just hoping for something here.
Okay. So now we move on to I saved the NFC East for last because while it does have the Washington Commanders, it does have 2 offenses which are very explosive, and the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles. But is there anything you want to say about the Commanders? Anything?
Draft Brian Robinson.
I don't know if I feel good about that.
I mean, Ron Rivera has told us that he wants Brian Robinson as his guy. Brian Robinson was shot. He still came back, still led the backfield in touches. He completely
That's cool.
threw Gibson aside. I mean, I
That's
don't
cool.
know. I mean, the coach has told us that he wants this player to have a more impactful role in the team. Whenever he came back from like being shot, he immediately got on the starting job. I mean, I don't know. We keep liking like those big athletic profiles like Gibson, but I mean, the coach likes Brian Robinson. The coaches gives Brian Robinson touches. He wasn't the more effective of the backs whenever the season started, whenever his season started in this case. But I mean, the dude got shot. I didn't totally expect him to be fully healthy whenever he came back, and by the end of the season, you could see he had some more juice left. He showed a lot more in the end of the season. So I think he will be a sneaky play. He's being drafted as a running back 37, which I think is crazy. And I would definitely take a shot at him because I think he leads the backfield in touches. The coach has told us this. And I wouldn't even be shocked if he got some receiving work. Now that McKissick isn't there anymore, Gibson will get the lion's share of those. But still, I could easily see Brian Robinson taking some of the receiving touches. unlike being a running back too. I mean, to end the season last year, he averaged like in the last 7 games of the season, he averaged 11 points per game, which would be good for a low end running back too. And you're getting him at like low end running back, what, 3, 4? I mean, I'm fine with Brian Robinson where he's being drafted.
The one that is incredible value for Brian Robinson, I will give you that. But two,
Yeah.
the coach can like him all he wants. He can like him into a bottom 5 offense. I don't know
I
what to
mean,
say.
it's the
There
same
are
it's
people
the
I
same thing as
actually
Damian Pierce.
what?
It's the same thing as Damian Pierce last year.
Did you feel good about having Damian Pierce by the end of the year?
I mean, I didn't, but he still produced like a bottom two, a bottom running back
And that's
two.
my point.
So yeah,
And that's my point. Like,
it's not great, but as at value, it's pretty
yes,
good, I think.
it's value,
Yeah,
but you're going to need to get everything else right around the value for
who's
that to be
the three running
useful.
back for?
I can't.
I
I
mean, and
think
you
I
draft Terry. Basically, that's
what's
it.
that?
And then you draft Terry.
No, I'm not even drafting Terry.
You don't draft Terry.
No.
I mean, Terry has constantly played with crap QBs, and he always gives you a running
How
back
many
two, high
how
running
many
back.
how many wide receiver one seasons has Terry amassed?
None, but last season he did
Okay.
finish as a wide receiver 14 in PPR, so improvements.
Good luck repeating that with Sam Howell.
I mean, I will just keep repeating Terry McLaurin because I always like Terry McLaurin. So I always end up with a lot of Terry
Yeah, you do. I
because no
know.
one
I
wants
think
him. Poor guy.
I think we spend way too much time talking about the Washington Commanders. That's what I think.
Let's
So
move on.
so I know we talked about Justin Fields being you just draft Justin Fields and then that's it. I think the Giants are a similar situation. You just draft Daniel Jones. Maybe you stack him with Barkley. There's your stack. But I don't think you really unless you want to. Oh, you're gonna say Darren Waller. All right, sell me on
The
Daniel Jones,
Darren
Darren
Waller
Waller
show.
stack. Sell me on the
I
stack.
mean, Darren Waller has been like the best player in Giants camp so far. The dude has been unguardable. And whenever he's healthy, he always plays like basically a wide receiver. So I don't know what's not to love with Darren Waller. I
He's in
mean,
his
people.
30s.
I mean, yeah, he's in his 30s, but he had like 2 seasons where he barely played. He played some games, and in the games that
He
he
had
played, he
two
was
seasons
actually
where he
pretty good.
barely played.
Yes, but in the games that he did play, he did pretty good. I mean, you're looking at what? Dude had like 106, like 10 points per game in 2021, and around 89, so
Oh
not great in
boy.
Las Vegas. For a tight end, if you get like 10 points per game, aren't you like,
Okay.
this is pretty good? And I mean, he will be the primary option in this team, well healthy, in my opinion, receiving wise, of course. And I think he will be a red zone threat. And they trade for the dude, even with Bellinger on the team. So I honestly like the dude, and I think he will be a pretty good tight end play. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends the season as a tight end three, a top three tight end at his cost right now. I love him. I think it's a
I
sneaky
will
stack.
say this. And here you go. Here's your idea for the redraft that we haven't done yet, Alex. Darren
Shoot,
Waller and Daniel Jones might be the most gettable stack that you feel okay with.
and he will probably be in my team.
And they will both probably. There's your idea. There's your stack. Stack Daniel
Maybe
Jones,
someone likes him
stack
more.
Darren Waller, and pray to God it works out. Because if it works
I think
out,
it will.
you're golden. You're in the playoffs, dude. The everything else you can put around waiting for those two, you'll be golden. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
I
if
mean,
that hits,
apart
oh,
apart from injury, I think the dude is incredible, and he has had an incredible camp. So yeah, I think it's one of those weapons that will unlock Daniel Jones. to have an even better season now with Dable in charge. I mean, I'm sold. I'm sold on Waller. I think Waller is an incredible value and is an incredible get at the tight end position. And I will definitely stack him with Daniel Jones. Will be one of those sneaky plays to get those rushing
There you go,
yards.
Alex. If you make the playoffs this year in our redraft league, you're welcome. I have
Much
introduced
appreciated.
Alex to the concept of stacking.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. So let's move on to the offenses you actually want to talk about. First, let's do the Eagles because I think the Eagles is a little bit more complicated than the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I think, is pretty straightforward. Um, how do you navigate the flurry of running backs? Because I know you said that there's a report that Kenneth Gainwell is the running back one in Philly. So how do you navigate Penny, Swift, Gainwell? There's always Boston Scott, and then you have the targets Goddard, Brown, Smith. How do you navigate it? Because it's going to be a top 10 offense most likely. But how do you navigate all that? What do you want to target in that top 10 offense?
Kenneth Gainwell.
You're targeting he is the cheapest.
He's the cheapest of the running backs. I would definitely go for him. I mean, if you're looking at like the DeAndre Swifts of the world, DeAndre Swift is like being drafted as a running back 21 according to Sleeper. I'm definitely out on that. I don't think any of these running backs will have that like top 24 upside or top 20 upside, I guess. Rashad Penny at running back 36, clearly out. Apparently, according to reports, he might even be on the roster bubble, depending on how we interpret said report, because it doesn't appear like he's getting a lot of touches in camp, and it might be that they are just saving him due to the injuries that he usually has. So just saving because he's such of a roster lock, or maybe they just don't see anything in him that valid validates it. Oh my god, it's
Validates
2 a.m. here.
the selection.
Validates
You're not
the
American.
selection and the
He's
contract,
Portuguese, everyone. Forgive the English. He's Portuguese.
and it's
Validate.
2 a.m. here.
It is
So
2 a.m.
yeah,
there.
yeah, and validates his roster spot and the contract that he got. So yeah, I wouldn't even be shocked if he's cut for like Trey Sermon, who they seem to really love.
Oh my
But yeah,
god.
I would definitely target Kenneth Gainwell at this point. He's being drafted as the running back 57, ADP close to the 190s. I mean, dude is an incredible value, and all the reports seem to suggest that the dude has like the most touches out of any running back in camp. So why not go for Kenneth Gainwell, who they love, who they seem to like, and in the playoffs he was pretty good. So I mean, I'm all hands on deck for the Kenneth Gainwell, and
Oh.
I'm ready for the train to take off the station.
So here's Angelo's advice for navigating the Eagles running backs. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You might want to listen in. So I'm gonna give you a little hint. Okay. So even though the Eagles are a top 10 offense, Jalen Hurts takes like half the goal line carries at quarterback, and the Eagles and Jalen Hurts historically do not pass to their running backs. So here's what you do: you either become a professional detective and you scour through the thousands of pages of camp notes, research, and what you know about all those running backs, the Eagles camp, and everything going on. And then after you come to the conclusion who the best player out of all that is, you can throw that away because they're probably not going to get red zone look anyway or receiving looks anyway. And you target the weapons.
Okay, so draft no one.
Draft no one or draft the cheapest player, like you're saying, being Kenneth Gainwell.
So yeah, you just draft Kenneth Gainwell.
You just draft Kenneth Gainwell and hope for the best.
Could he have four receptions in the Super Bowl?
I have a hot take.
Yes.
Devonta Smith is going to finish above AJ Brown in fantasy
Without an injury or with an
without an
injury?
injury.
That's bullish from someone who didn't love Devontae Smith out of college. I like it.
I did not. But do you know what I have seen?
What?
Devonta Smith gets used more like an X receiver than AJ Brown on the Eagles.
And he does get the softest coverage.
He does.
It's not the weirdest take in the world.
I don't think it's the craziest thing to see at the end of the season because everyone's bullish. You are either like dead set on hating AJ Brown or you think he's going to be like the potential wide receiver one. I don't think he has that upside, and I don't think Devonta has that upside. But I do think they have the potential to be a wide receiver one of the top 12. But
And do we think both finish in the top 12 like last year?
no, there's no way.
No.
There's no way that repeats.
Because
But I
of
think one of
Goddard
them.
being back?
Because of Goddard being back, because even if they're a great offense, I don't know if they can be as great as they were last season. And there has to be some kind of regression. There's no way they both. I think it was a unicorn scenario where both of them finished as wide receiver ones, and I don't think that repeats itself. I think one of them finishes as a wide receiver one, and I think the other one's going to finish as a wide receiver two. And I think that there's a higher chance it's AJ Brown than Devonta Smith. That's just my opinion.
Well, Devontae is being drafted almost 2 full rounds later than AJ Brown
Yeah,
right now. So
depending
if
on how
you're
many
right on
people
that,
you
that's
got.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good value if you're right for sure.
So here's what you do: you hold off on AJ Brown, you draft Devonta Smith, then you look at the AJ Brown opener, and then you snipe him for Jalen Hurts. That's what you do.
If it's super flex, you might have to just snag Hurts first. Worry
Yeah,
about
that's
Smith
true.
later.
That's true. You're not wrong about that.
Do you target Goddard though?
Do I target Goddard?
Yeah.
Where is he going? I know you have the ADPs up. I
Oh,
don't.
yeah, he's tight end 6 right now, ADP around 66, so he's like around 6 tight end.
Ooh, that's not much. That's not much farther after like Andrews or Kittle or. That's tough. That's a tough sell for me. I think if you've already stacked Hurts and either Brown or Smith, I would because you've already banked on that offense being great. So if that offense is great, then there's an off chance that Goddard snipes a lot of those touchdowns and you take
Yeah.
those odds. But at
And
the
in
same
camp, he
time,
has been used more there.
yeah, but at the same time, is it something I feel great about? No. Is it something you have to do if you've already placed that bet? Heck yeah.
Okay, I'll be down for that as well. I don't necessarily hate Goddard at his ADP. I think he'll get more red zone looks. Apparently, that's how he's been used more in camp as well. So yeah, I'd be on board with you. Definitely like the Smith take. I could see it happen. I don't think it's likely by any chance, by any stretch of imagination. But I like the take. I think it's possible that it happens. So yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Yes. If you
Just
want
draft him at
solid
all like you want.
opinions, ask Angelo. If you want conservative and safe, you go to Alex. If you
Or
want to
if
be
you want
told
Kenneth
everything's going to
Gainwell as
be
the Eagles
okay and
running
you
back,
need a
well,
bedtime story before you go to bed, go to Alex. He'll give you a good bedtime story.
I mean, and he will get you the best sleeper running backs like Kenneth Gainwell.
Mm-hmm. So last, because both of us have to go to bed at some point, and let's finish this off hot, the Dallas Cowboys. You think that some regression in that offense is coming?
I do. Some regression or just a mainstay of what they did last year, but a bit more conservative, I would say, which will then make the offense a bit worse overall. So yeah, I definitely think it might be a sneaky place to get another running back in because like that depth is horrible, and behind Tony Pollard they have no one.
They
Some
can't give
people want
Tony
to
Pollard workhorse touches, can they?
I don't think so, but some people want to hype up like the Deuce Vaughn signing. I mean, I don't believe a dude of his size got as a carry in the NFL in the last like 8 years. So I don't know what's really hyping here. The dude pretty much got drafted because he's like the son of one of the coaches.
Yep.
So I don't think there's anything there, and the other players in that depth chart aren't great either at the running back position. So definitely a place where you could see a vet land. Maybe a Lenny Fournette, which would really mess up everything there, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, but right now there's no one there, so Pollard is still a safe pick. Uh, at wide receiver though, it's
CD
is
and
it?
Brandon Cooks.
Do you draft Brandon Cooks?
Isn't he going like stupid late, like ninth, 10th round?
He's currently being drafted as the wide receiver 42, which is around ADP 110. 110 in a 12 team league with online round 9,
Yeah.
if not mistaken. So, I mean,
I
guys
would.
in his range.
He's a
Uh,
perpetual wide receiver two, if not wide receiver one at round 9. If you've already chased the upside and you've already gotten people like Christian Washington, people like JSN, people like Reed, people like Addison. God, I am drawing blanks. It's getting late for me. Sorry.
yeah,
Then
Zay
yeah,
is also in
you
the in that range.
safe flower. Yes. Then yeah, it's cool. Take your safe pick in round 9, 10. That's okay, as long as you got those home run possibilities as well.
Yeah.
Because let's be
Uh,
real, Brandon Cooks is probably finishing as a wide receiver 2, maybe wide receiver 3.
no concerns about the concussions.
Not really. Assuming he's
No.
healthy, it'll be fine.
I mean, you can just wait a few rounds and like at 175, going as the wide receiver 66, you get Michael Gallup, who already has a connection with Dak and knows the offense a bit better. Maybe he's being slapped on somewhat.
Maybe. I'll give you
Mm,
that.
Now with the injury risks to Cooks, that the concussions, I mean, to do it as way too many concussions for any one person. So maybe Gallup is just the way to go. At tight end, I mean, there's not a whole lot at tight end. Some people liked it, Jake Ferguson, and he's made some plays in camp. Maybe someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, it's likely for me. It's likely just CD. Uh,
1, 2, throw it to
I
CeeDee
wouldn't
Lamb, baby.
mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Pollard right now, but I just know that situation will change, much like Ramondre. So I would tread lightly there, but CD is for sure someone, and then I'm targeting Gallup late.
That's
I
fair.
might skip on Brandon Cooks, even though as you said, he's basically a lock for wide receiver too, most of the
Assuming the health,
opportunity
yes.
years. But yeah, to me, CD is the only lock that I would pretty much like to have. But I do expect some regression, as you said before, because of the more conservative approach that I think they will take. Uh, yeah, that's basically it. I really don't like anyone else, basically. Out of the sneaky guys, there's no one that really like catches my attention.
I think you target the wide receivers because there's an off chance with the targets Dalton Schultz has opened up. Those could all go to the wide receivers. You could see, the more I think about it, the more I think you're right. Gallup could have a sneaky good season. Cooks could have a great season, and CeeDee Lamb is probably going to have an amazing season.
So
So,
you just draft all three Cowboys wide receivers in deck?
hey, if I want to stack it, go for it, baby.
Okay. You just the stacks of Green Bay, and you get the stacks of New York, the Giants, and the
Yeah, you
Cowboys.
get the stacks of New York.
Okay, because you need to get the stacks of New York to get the tight end. Okay,
There
so I see how how this team is being built. It's like AFC, NFC East, and then some sprinkles of NFC North. I like
you
it. I
go,
like
man.
it. So that's just the team that I'm gonna draft in the 12 team redraft.
You're going to
Got
go
it.
Daniel Jones and you're going to go Darren Waller later, and then you're just going to stack with a bunch of good wide receivers, running backs, and
And
quarterback one.
eventually end up last.
No, I think that has a better chance of winning than what you've done the last 3 years.
I mean, the last year I got to the final, so it's trending the right way. I would hope.
I guess that's true. I'll give you that. So, if you've gotten this far, because I'm pretty sure we're closing on 2 hours, which is probably one of our longest shows, if not our longest show. Thank you guys for listening in. The basketball, this is going to drop tomorrow. This is going to drop within like 8 hours. So there's not going to be much editing, so excuse me for that. Thank you guys for listening. Go check out the basketball podcast. We talk about a lot of stuff there. And actually, we just did predictions, is the last episode that we did. And there's going to be another one dropping Sunday. So go check those out. Thank you guys for watching. Alex, go to bed. Me, go to bed. And, well, after I get done editing, quotation marks. And have a great time.
Thank you guys. Peace.
Peace.